Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily English Partner. In this video, we talk about how to hold back your emotion. 20 reasons to hold back your emotions. 1. To maintain emotional stability in high-stress situations. Life throws unpredictable challenges at us, situations that can push us to our emotional limits. Whether it's a heated argument with a loved one, an urgent family emergency, a tense job interview, or even the shock of sudden bad news, our emotional reactions can spiral out of control before we even realize it. These high-pressure moments demand quick thinking, calm decision-making, and above all, emotional clarity. But when we allow our emotions, fear, anger, panic, or despair, to take control, they can blur our thoughts and override our better judgment. Emotional breakdown in such moments often leads to poor decisions and unintended consequences. Imagine a doctor in the middle of a life-saving operation who suddenly becomes overwhelmed by fear and doubt. If they allow their emotional floodgates to burst, a life could be lost. Similarly, a parent who panics during a family emergency may cause more chaos rather than offering the stability their family needs. Holding back our immediate emotional reactions doesn't mean denying what we feel. It means temporarily placing our emotions in a safe corner of our mind, allowing the logical, practical, and mature part of us to take charge. It means breathing deeply, stepping back, and acting with clarity instead of emotional impulse. In these crucial moments, calmness becomes a power, and emotional restraint becomes a shield protecting both us and those around us. Over time, this kind of discipline doesn't make us cold. It makes us wise, dependable, and grounded in the storms of life. 2. To avoid hurting others with words or actions. Emotions, especially the intense ones like anger, frustration, or jealousy, have incredible power. They rise within us like storms, fast and loud, demanding expression. In moments of emotional heat, we often feel the urge to speak immediately, to defend ourselves, to accuse someone, to scream our pain, or even to insult the person who hurt us. But one harsh word spoken in a moment of rage can leave scars that last a lifetime. Words are not empty, they carry weight, and once they are released, they cannot be taken back. That angry sentence, that sarcastic comment, that shout of frustration, though it may be forgotten by the speaker, can stay in the heart of the listener forever. Think of a time you were deeply hurt by someone's words. Perhaps they were angry or overwhelmed, but in that moment, their words cut you deeply. It likely didn't matter whether they apologized later, the pain still lingered. Now flip that perspective. Imagine you are the one who speaks during a heated moment. If your words become weapons, you may unintentionally destroy someone's confidence, trust, or sense of worth. Relationships, even strong ones, can be permanently damaged by unchecked emotional reactions. Parents can wound their children, friends can become strangers, lovers can turn into enemies, all because emotion was given full control without pause or reflection. By holding back, you create space between stimulus and response. You give yourself time to think, will these words help or harm? You allow your heart to cool, your mind to clear. This pause can mean everything. It may allow you to respond with empathy instead of accusation, with curiosity instead of judgment, or with silence instead of saying something hurtful. It's not weakness to stay quiet when you're angry, it's wisdom. And sometimes the greatest strength lies not in expressing everything you feel, but in choosing what not to say. Over time, this practice creates trust. People will feel safer around you. They will know that even if there is disagreement, you will not weaponize your emotions against them. This is emotional maturity, the understanding that we are responsible not only for how we feel, but also for the impact our emotions have on others. So, when your heart burns with anger or your chest tightens with pain, remember that your words can build or break. Choose to hold back, not forever, but just long enough to ensure that when you speak, your words come from a place of wisdom, not wounds. In this space, love survives, trust deepens, and relationships are preserved. 3. To protect your mental health. Our emotions are powerful messengers, but when they dominate every reaction, they can begin to damage the very foundation of our mental peace. Emotional overwhelm doesn't happen overnight. It builds gradually, from unchecked irritation, unspoken anger, unresolved sadness, and constant stress. When we allow every emotion to erupt without control or pause, our minds become like cluttered rooms, noisy, chaotic, and suffocating. Imagine waking up already irritated, reacting emotionally to a rude driver, letting that irritation carry into your workplace, and then allowing a small criticism from a colleague to ruin your whole day. Now multiply that pattern by weeks or months. That level of emotional reactivity becomes exhausting, not just for your body, but for your mind and spirit. Mental health is not only about managing sadness or anxiety, it's also about creating emotional boundaries. When we don't hold back our emotions, we allow every small thing in the outside world to enter and disturb our inner world. You end up handing your peace over to people, events, and situations that don't deserve that power. Emotional outbursts may offer momentary relief, like a volcano releasing pressure, but they often leave behind destruction, guilt, regret, shame, or even a sense of weakness. And these residues pile up inside the mind, increasing anxiety, fueling depression, and reducing your emotional resilience. Now think about what it means to hold back, not to suppress, but to gently press pause. It means taking a breath before reacting, giving your brain a moment to switch from emotional to rational thinking. It means journaling your pain instead of shouting it. It means choosing to reflect instead of immediately retaliating. These small acts of restraint are actually acts of self-love. They protect your mind from becoming a battlefield. They help you remain grounded during emotional storms. And most importantly, they give you the power to choose peace over panic. By practicing emotional restraint, you train your mind to become a safer space. You begin to understand your triggers instead of being ruled by them. You build habits like meditation, self-reflection, or quiet walking, which restore clarity and calmness. Over time, this builds what psychologists call emotional regulation, a skill that shields you from burnout, deepens your self-awareness, and gives you long-term peace. Remember, you are not a slave to your emotions. You are the one who feels them, and you have the power to manage them. Protecting your mental health starts with this very realization. When you hold back your emotions with care and purpose, you're not avoiding pain. You're creating the space to heal it properly. You're choosing long-term peace over short-term release. And in that choice, you build a mental sanctuary that no chaos in the world can break. 4. To strengthen relationships. Relationships are among the most precious things in life. Whether it's with family, friends, romantic partners, or colleagues, the strength of a relationship depends not only on love and trust, but also on emotional management. When emotions are left unchecked, they can silently erode even the strongest bond. Love alone is not enough to keep a relationship healthy. How we express our emotions within that love determines whether it grows or breaks. This is why holding back emotions, especially negative ones like anger, jealousy, resentment, or impulsive frustration, can play a crucial role in building long-term harmony. Imagine a scenario where two people deeply care about each other, but often argue. One person gets upset easily, raises their voice, and vents without thinking. The other person, instead of feeling loved, starts to feel attacked and walks away emotionally. Over time, these reactions create distance. Each emotional outburst plants seeds of hurt that grow into walls. Even if apologies follow, the damage might already be done. Because words once said cannot be unsaid. Emotions once hurled recklessly can make people feel unsafe, unloved, or misunderstood. Holding back in such moments doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means protecting the relationship by expressing those feelings in a better way, at a better time. It means choosing silence instead of shouting, understanding instead of reacting, and walking away for a moment of reflection instead of pushing the person away with harsh words. Emotional control builds trust. It tells the other person, even when I'm upset, I will not hurt you. Even when I'm in pain, I will not use it as a weapon against you. That kind of emotional maturity is rare, and it is beautiful. Think about how much stronger your relationships would be if every disagreement became a moment to grow, not a battlefield to win. 5. To gain control over impulsive decisions. There are moments in life when a single emotional decision can change everything, sometimes for the better, but more often for the worse. When you're angry, heartbroken, jealous, or overwhelmed, your brain shifts into survival mode. Logic steps back, emotions take the wheel. In those moments, we often feel the urge to do something right now, to quit a job, send a harsh message, block someone we love, make a purchase we can't afford, or walk away from a dream we've worked hard for. The emotional urgency feels real. It screams, do something now or you'll explode. And if we give in, we often regret it the next day, the next month, or even for the rest of our lives. Why does this happen? Because emotions, while deeply human and valid, are temporary. They rise and fall like waves. They distort reality and make small problems feel gigantic. When we act in the peak of emotion, especially without taking a pause to think, we risk making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Imagine being in love and having one fight that makes you feel unloved. Without thinking, you delete all your shared memories, block the person, and cut them off. A few days later, when the anger fades, you realize the relationship was worth saving. But now, it's too late. The damage is done. This is the cost of impulsive emotion-driven choices. Holding back emotions doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means waiting for clarity. It means recognizing that while your feelings are intense now, they may not be the same tomorrow. This small pause, this ability to wait, can save you from mountains of regret. When you take a step back and give yourself even a few hours to breathe, your mind becomes clearer. The emotional fog begins to lift. You can ask yourself, is this really what I want? Am I thinking with wisdom or reacting from pain? This form of self-discipline is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It gives you power, not the power to control the world, but the power to control yourself. And this power leads to better choices, better relationships, and a life that's less chaotic and more meaningful. Over time, as you make it a habit to hold back your emotional impulses, you begin to trust yourself more. You feel more confident in your decisions because you know they weren't made in haste. Others begin to respect your calmness, your patience, your thoughtfulness. And you'll begin to see how many painful mistakes could have been avoided, not by becoming emotionless, but by learning to wait. So, the next time your emotions urge you to act right away, pause, breathe, reflect. Trust that your power lies not in what you do in the storm, but in what you choose not to do until the storm passes. Let me know when you're ready for reason 6, Sarah. I'm here to continue writing all 20, slowly building a masterpiece of emotional wisdom with you. 7. To build inner strength and discipline. True strength is not always loud. It doesn't always show itself in big actions, fierce comebacks, or dramatic expressions. Often, the strongest people are the quietest in the storm, the ones who feel everything deeply but don't let it control them. Holding back emotions, especially when they are burning inside you, is not a sign of weakness. It is a quiet form of discipline, a type of inner mastery, a deeply rooted power that says, I feel this pain, but I will not let it break me. Discipline is the art of doing what is right, even when everything inside you wants to do something else. When you're angry and you want to lash out, but you don't. When you're sad and want to give up, but you keep going. When you're jealous and want to attack, but instead you look within. That is discipline. That is inner strength. That is what separates those who live by emotion from those who rise above it. And this strength does not appear overnight. It is built moment by moment, choice by choice, in the silence between impulse and action. We live in a world that often tells us to be real, to express everything, to say what's on your mind right now. And while honesty is important, raw emotion without wisdom can be destructive. If you always speak every thought, feel every feeling out loud, or act on every impulse, you may begin to lose control over your life. You become a servant to emotion, not its master. But when you train yourself to pause, to breathe, to reflect, even when the emotion is strong, you begin to feel something new inside you. A quiet voice, a sense of balance, the feeling that you are no longer being thrown around by life, you are directing it. Holding back doesn't mean becoming cold or numb. It means learning to carry your fire with dignity, to cry without falling apart, to be hurt without seeking revenge, to walk away when staying would destroy your peace. This kind of emotional discipline builds confidence. It tells your soul, I can handle this. I am stronger than my storms. And once you begin to live from this place, your life transforms. You no longer fear emotion, you respect it. You no longer rush into reactions, you respond with purpose. People will notice the change in you. They will feel it in your calmness, in your silence, in the way you no longer let small things control your mood. And you will notice it too, in how you sleep better, think clearer, and walk taller. Because when you hold back your emotions with intention, you're not suppressing your truth, you're protecting your peace. You're training your heart to be strong, stable, and centered in a world that is constantly shifting. So next time your emotions rise like a wave, don't fear them, but don't ride them blindly either. Stand still, feel them fully, then choose your next step with strength. That is the power of inner discipline, and that power lives within you. 8. To avoid hurting others unintentionally. We often think that when we express our emotions, we're just being honest, being real, or standing up for ourselves. And while that may be true in some cases, what we often forget is this. Raw, uncontrolled emotions can wound others deeply, sometimes without us even realizing it. Words said in anger, in pain, or in jealousy can pierce through someone's heart and stay with them for years. A single moment of emotional outburst, if not held back, can damage a relationship, crush someone's self-esteem, or create scars that are hard to heal. Think about this. Have you ever said something in a moment of rage and immediately wished you could take it back? Maybe you didn't mean to hurt them, but the words came out sharp, cold, or cruel. Maybe your sadness became blame. Maybe your stress came out as harshness. And maybe, later that night when you calmed down, guilt came rushing in like a storm. That's what happens when we let our emotions control our tongues. We may feel better for a moment, but someone else pays the price for our release. Holding back your emotions doesn't mean you stay silent forever. It means choosing when and how to express them so they can be heard without harming someone else. It's realizing that your emotions are valid, but so are the hearts of the people around you. When you pause to check your emotions before expressing them, you protect the people you love from becoming targets of your internal struggles. You learn to express pain without making others feel like the enemy. You learn to communicate instead of accuse, to speak truth without cruelty. It takes great emotional maturity to say, I am angry, but I will not shout. I am hurt, but I will not hurt you. I am overwhelmed, but I will wait until I can speak clearly. That kind of restraint doesn't make you weak, it makes you trustworthy. People feel safe around someone who knows how to manage their own emotions. They feel loved when you choose patience over impulsiveness. They respect you when you can feel deeply but still speak kindly. You also begin to build better emotional habits. Instead of reacting immediately, you might write things down first, or take a walk, or pray, or wait until the next day to respond. These simple actions save relationships, they save friendships, they even save families. Because a moment of silence in an emotional storm is sometimes all it takes to prevent a lifetime of regret. Remember, the people you care about are not responsible for healing your inner wounds, and they do not deserve to be punished for your past pain. So when emotions rise, ask yourself, will this help or will it hurt? If it might hurt, hold back, breathe, reflect, then speak when love, not just emotion, is leading the way. 9. To protect your reputation and integrity. In the heat of strong emotion, especially anger, frustration, jealousy, or heartbreak, we often forget that how we express ourselves leaves behind a lasting image of who we are. People may forget our words, but they rarely forget them. The way we act during emotional highs or lows becomes part of our identity in the eyes of others. And this is why holding back emotions, especially during emotional storms, is not just about self-control. It's about protecting your reputation, your dignity, and your integrity. Imagine a scenario where someone pushes your buttons, insults you, or betrays your trust. You want to explode. Your whole body might shake with the urge to scream, fight, or say something cruel in return. But if you let that anger take over and respond with insults, aggression, or emotional chaos, people won't just remember the trigger. They'll remember your reaction. In just one emotional moment, you can ruin years of respect. You can destroy your image of calm, wisdom, or maturity. And worst of all, you can become the very thing you hate. Holding back emotions gives you the power to act in alignment with your values, not your mood. It allows you to choose the kind of person you want to be seen as: calm, composed, thoughtful, wise. That doesn't mean you allow others to walk all over you. It means you set boundaries with grace, you defend yourself with dignity, you express your truth without losing your soul. And in doing so, you teach others how to treat you, not through loud demands, but through the quiet authority of self-respect. When you're emotionally intelligent, people don't fear your reactions, they trust them. They come to you in difficult times because they know you will listen, not lash out. They see you as reliable in crisis, mature in conflict, and balanced in success. And this trust, this steady reputation opens doors in life, whether in personal relationships, at work, or in social circles. People are drawn to emotional stability. It makes them feel safe. But even more than that, you will begin to respect yourself. Because every time you hold back when it's easier to explode, you strengthen your character. Every time you choose silence over unnecessary drama, you rise higher. You become the kind of person who walks away from chaos, not because you are weak, but because your peace is too expensive to lose. You don't react to every insult, because your worth is not defined by someone's bad day. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to bite your tongue when you're disrespected. It's hard to walk away when your heart is screaming for justice. But that's where your true power lives, in the choice to act from values, not emotions, in the choice to protect your long-term reputation over short-term release. So, when your emotions flare up and you want to say something you don't mean or do something you'll regret, pause, remember who you are and who you're becoming, and ask yourself, is this who I want the world to remember me as? Because every emotional reaction writes a line in your story. Make sure yours is written with strength, not regret. 10. To maintain mental clarity and peace. When emotions run wild and uncontrolled, they cloud our minds like thick fog, making it difficult to think clearly or make wise decisions. Strong feelings, whether anger, anxiety, sadness, or frustration, can overwhelm the brain's ability to process information calmly and rationally. They hijack your focus, distort your perspective, and trap you in negative thought loops. This mental chaos leads to poor choices, regret, and even physical stress. Holding back your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them forever. It means allowing your mind the space and calm it needs to find clarity. Imagine you've just received upsetting news. Your heart pounds, your thoughts race, your whole body feels tense. If you immediately react, whether by shouting, panicking, or retreating, you might miss the bigger picture. You might overlook important details or fail to see alternative solutions. But if you hold back for a moment, take a few deep breaths, and let your mind settle, you create room for calm analysis. The fog lifts, your vision clears. This clarity is vital for peace of mind. When you act impulsively on emotion, your mind spins, replaying the event again and again, fueling stress and anxiety. But when you pause and choose calm, you break that cycle. You regain control of your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. This doesn't mean you ignore your feelings. Rather, you treat them like waves, watching them rise and fall without being swept away. Maintaining mental clarity also means you can respond to life's challenges with wisdom and creativity. Problems that seemed insurmountable become manageable. You find solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Your mental peace grows, creating a foundation for better emotional health overall. Moreover, when you hold back your emotions in stressful moments, you reduce the physical toll on your body. Chronic emotional upheaval releases stress hormones that harm your heart, immune system, and even memory. Protecting your mind with emotional restraint is also protecting your body and long-term well-being. So next time you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself that emotional storms pass and calm waters will return. Holding back emotions is like anchoring your ship in the storm. It keeps you steady, safe, and ready to navigate life's seas with clarity. 11. To protect yourself from emotional burnout. Life's emotional ups and downs can be exhausting. When you constantly allow yourself to pour out every intense feeling, whether it's sadness, anger, anxiety, or frustration, you risk running out of emotional energy. This is called emotional burnout, a state where your mind and heart feel drained, numb, and overwhelmed by feelings that never seem to stop. Holding back emotions wisely is a way to protect your emotional health and avoid burning out. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones all day. Each stone is a painful thought, an anxious worry, or a moment of anger. If you keep adding stones without ever setting the backpack down, you will eventually collapse from exhaustion. This is what happens when you release emotions all at once without any filter or pause. Your inner energy, your emotional strength gets depleted, leaving you vulnerable and fragile. By learning to hold back your emotions, you give yourself time to recover. You create space to breathe, to heal, and to build resilience. You learn to express emotions in manageable amounts, like carefully removing a stone at a time instead of dumping the entire load at once. This protects your emotional well-being and keeps you stronger in the long run. Emotional burnout doesn't just hurt your feelings, it can cause physical symptoms too: fatigue, headaches, trouble sleeping, and weakened immunity. It can impact your relationships and your ability to work or focus on goals. But when you develop the skill of emotional restraint, you build a sustainable way to handle life's pressures. You become less reactive, less overwhelmed, and more balanced. It's not about ignoring or denying your emotions. It's about pacing yourself, recognizing when you need a break, choosing to process feelings slowly instead of rushing to explode. This balance gives you power over your emotional world instead of letting it control you. So, if you feel like emotions are exhausting you, try holding back just a little. Pause before reacting. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself that your heart needs rest and space to stay healthy. Emotional strength is a marathon, not a sprint, and learning to hold back emotions wisely is one of the best ways to run that race without burning out. 12. To avoid escalating conflicts and creating regrets. When emotions flare up in tense situations, like disagreements, arguments, or confrontations, it's all too easy to say or do things in the heat of the moment that make the situation worse instead of better. Immediate emotional reactions often escalate conflicts, turning a small problem into a big fight, breaking trust, and leaving behind deep regrets. Holding back your emotions in these moments can stop the fire from spreading and give you a chance to handle conflicts more wisely. Think about a time you argued with someone important. Maybe you shouted or said harsh words. Later, when the heat cooled, you realized that what you said hurt the other person and maybe even yourself. You regretted how you lost control. That's the danger of reacting instantly. Emotional explosions are like throwing gasoline on a fire. They fuel anger and misunderstanding rather than bringing peace or solutions. When you hold back your emotions during conflict, you create space for calmness and listening. You can breathe and think, what do I really want to say? What is the real issue here? How can I express my feelings without hurting the other person? This pause allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Many conflicts are not about who's right or wrong. They're about misunderstandings or unmet needs. Holding back lets you hear the other person's perspective and communicate your own more clearly. It builds bridges instead of walls, and even if the conflict doesn't fully resolve right away, it prevents damage that could last a lifetime. Also, holding back emotions during conflict protects your own peace of mind. Exploding in anger often leaves you feeling drained and guilty afterward. When you control your emotions, you keep your dignity and reduce regrets. So next time you find yourself in a tense situation, remember, your words and actions are powerful. Choose to hold back your immediate emotional reaction. Give yourself time to cool down and speak with kindness and clarity. You'll save your relationships and protect your own heart. 13. To cultivate emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Holding back your emotions isn't about denying how you feel. It's about understanding your feelings deeply and responding with wisdom. When you take a moment to pause before expressing your emotions, you give yourself the gift of emotional intelligence. This is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, as well as empathize with the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It influences how well you handle stress, communicate with others, and make decisions. When you rush to express every emotion immediately, you miss the chance to understand what your feelings really mean. Are you angry because of what just happened, or is there something deeper, like fear or hurt? Are you upset with a person or with yourself? By holding back and reflecting, you become more self-aware. You start to see patterns in your emotional responses, understand triggers, and learn how to soothe yourself. This self-awareness is the foundation of emotional maturity. It helps you avoid overreacting and enables you to express yourself more clearly and effectively. Furthermore, emotional intelligence improves your relationships. When you understand your own emotions, you can communicate them better. You can also recognize and respect the emotions of others. This leads to more empathy, patience, and kindness in your interactions. People feel heard and understood when you respond with emotional insight instead of raw reaction. In short, holding back your emotions for a moment allows you to step back, analyze, and choose your response consciously. This builds emotional intelligence, a skill that empowers you throughout life, enhancing your well-being, your relationships, and your success. 14. To create a space for healing and reflection. Emotions are powerful messengers from your inner world, often signaling pain, loss, or unmet needs. When you immediately release strong emotions like grief, anger, or disappointment, you may find momentary relief, but it can also scatter your energy and leave you feeling raw and vulnerable. Holding back your emotions allows you to create a sacred space for healing and reflection, a quiet place where your heart can process feelings deeply and gently. Healing is not a race or an outburst, it is a journey. It requires time, patience, and self-compassion. By holding back, you give yourself the chance to step back from the intensity of the moment and observe your emotions without being swept away. You can ask yourself important questions like, why do I feel this way? What does this pain teach me? How can I nurture myself through this? These moments of reflection help transform painful emotions into wisdom and growth. When emotions are expressed too quickly or explosively, they can overwhelm your mind and body, making it difficult to integrate the experience. This often leads to repeating the same emotional patterns or feeling stuck in grief or anger. But when you hold back just enough to breathe and reflect, your healing process begins. You honor your feelings without letting them consume you. This space for healing doesn't mean bottling up emotions or pretending everything is okay. It means respecting your emotional rhythms and allowing yourself to feel in a safe, intentional way. It also means seeking support when you need it, whether from trusted friends, family, or professionals, without rushing through the pain. By creating this space within yourself, you build resilience. You learn that even the most intense emotions eventually soften and fade, and you discover that healing is possible even after the deepest wounds. 15. To foster patience and long-term growth. In today's fast-paced world, we are conditioned to expect instant reactions and immediate gratification. When emotions flare, the natural impulse is to respond right away, to speak, act, or vent. But true emotional strength lies in patience, the ability to hold back momentary impulses in favor of long-term growth and better outcomes. Patience is a muscle that grows stronger each time you practice holding back emotions. It teaches you that not every feeling requires immediate expression, and that some moments benefit from waiting and thoughtful response. When you hold back, you give yourself time to see the bigger picture, weigh the consequences, and choose actions that serve your higher goals instead of short-lived satisfaction. This long-term perspective transforms how you handle challenges, setbacks, and relationships. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond wisely. Instead of burning bridges in the heat of anger, you cultivate calm that supports your mental and emotional well-being. Moreover, patience nurtures your personal growth. It encourages self-discipline, mindfulness, and emotional regulation, qualities that are essential for success in all areas of life. When you resist the urge to immediately release every strong emotion, you practice self-control, which can lead to greater confidence and inner peace. In essence, holding back your emotions is not about denial. It is about planting seeds for a better future. It's the quiet, steady work of growing resilience, wisdom, and emotional maturity, qualities that blossom over time and shape a fulfilled, balanced life. 16. To protect vulnerable relationships from harm. Some relationships, whether with family, close friends, or romantic partners, are fragile and require careful emotional handling. When emotions explode unchecked, these bonds can crack or even break, sometimes beyond repair. Holding back your emotions gives you a chance to protect and preserve these precious connections by preventing harm that harsh words or impulsive reactions might cause. Emotions like anger, jealousy, or hurt often feel urgent and overwhelming, but expressing them without restraint can lead to misunderstandings and wounds that take a long time to heal. Sometimes, the very people we care about most get hurt the hardest because we assume they will always be there to forgive us. But relationships are not unlimited resources. They need trust, respect, and care to survive. By holding back emotions, especially in difficult moments, you create space to approach conversations with kindness and clarity. You can think about how your words will affect the other person and whether expressing a feeling in that exact way will help or harm the relationship. This mindful restraint allows you to communicate your feelings without blame or attack, opening pathways for honest dialogue and mutual understanding. Protecting vulnerable relationships with emotional control also helps you grow empathy and compassion. You learn to see beyond your own feelings and consider the other person's experience. This deepens your connection and builds emotional safety, a foundation on which love and trust can flourish. So when emotions run high, remember that sometimes holding back is an act of love. It's a way to safeguard bonds that matter, giving those relationships the chance to grow stronger through patience and care. 17. To maintain professionalism and build career success. In the workplace, controlling your emotions is not just a personal skill, it's a vital professional asset. Holding back your emotions helps you maintain professionalism, earn respect, and build a successful career. Emotional outbursts, whether frustration, anger, or sadness, can damage your reputation, reduce your influence, and harm your chances for advancement. Work environments often demand calmness under pressure, clear communication, and teamwork. When you hold back your emotions, you demonstrate self-control and emotional intelligence, qualities highly valued by employers and colleagues. This steadiness allows you to handle criticism constructively, navigate conflicts diplomatically, and make thoughtful decisions even in stressful situations. Moreover, controlling emotions helps you build stronger professional relationships. Colleagues and clients trust people who respond calmly rather than react impulsively. You become someone others can rely on during crises, someone who thinks clearly and solves problems without drama. By mastering emotional restraint at work, you also protect your mental well-being. Jobs can be challenging, and unchecked stress or anger can lead to burnout or strained relationships. Holding back emotions gives you the space to manage workplace challenges without sacrificing your peace of mind. In essence, emotional control at work is a strategic choice that paves the way for career growth, leadership opportunities, and lasting professional success. It shows maturity and discipline, two key ingredients for reaching your full potential. 18. To preserve your personal boundaries and self-respect. Holding back your emotions can be a powerful way to protect your personal boundaries and maintain your self-respect. When you let every emotion spill out unchecked, especially in difficult or uncomfortable situations, you may unintentionally allow others to cross your boundaries or disrespect you. Emotional restraint gives you the power to control how you are treated and how you respond to others. Setting personal boundaries means knowing what you will and won't accept in your relationships and interactions. It requires clarity about your values and feelings. When you hold back emotions, especially anger or frustration, you create space to assess whether someone is violating your limits or needs. This pause lets you respond with confidence and assertiveness rather than impulsive reactions that may weaken your position. Moreover, holding back emotions helps you preserve your dignity. Explosive emotional reactions, like yelling or crying uncontrollably, might make you feel vulnerable or embarrassed afterward. By managing your emotions, you maintain control over your image and how others perceive you, which is vital for self-respect. In many situations, emotional restraint also helps you avoid becoming a target for manipulation. People who see you lose control might try to exploit your reactions. By holding back, you show strength and protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Ultimately, emotional control strengthens your inner armor. It empowers you to stand firm in your values, communicate your needs clearly, and keep yourself intact no matter what life throws at you. 19. To enhance your ability to listen and understand others deeply. When you hold back your immediate emotional reactions, you open up space to truly listen and understand what others are saying and feeling. Emotional restraint transforms communication from a battle of emotions into a bridge of understanding, enabling deeper connections and empathy. Often, strong emotions can make us so focused on our own feelings that we miss what the other person is really trying to express. For example, if you react quickly with anger or defensiveness, you might interrupt or dismiss someone's perspective, leaving them unheard and the conflict unresolved. But when you pause and hold back your emotions, you become more present. You can pay full attention, absorb the other person's words, and pick up on subtle cues, like tone of voice or body language, that reveal their true feelings. This kind of attentive listening allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It shows respect and validation for the other person's experience, which often de-escalates tensions and builds trust. People feel valued and understood, which strengthens your relationships in all areas of life. Additionally, holding back your emotions helps you avoid misunderstandings caused by jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. It encourages curiosity instead of judgment, opening the door to learning new perspectives and expanding your emotional awareness. In sum, emotional restraint is a gift you give yourself and others, a way to listen deeply, communicate clearly, and foster meaningful, compassionate connections that enrich your life. 20. To build inner peace and emotional stability over time. One of the most powerful reasons to hold back your emotions is to cultivate lasting inner peace and emotional stability. Life is full of unpredictable events, ups and downs, joy and sorrow. If you let every emotion control you as it arises, you risk living in constant turmoil, tossed by waves of mood swings and impulsive reactions. Holding back emotions does not mean suppressing or ignoring them. It means creating a calm center within yourself, a safe place where feelings can arise without overwhelming you. When you practice this restraint regularly, you strengthen your ability to remain steady, calm, and balanced no matter what life throws your way. This inner peace is like a deep well you can draw from in difficult times. It allows you to face challenges with courage, accept disappointments with grace, and savor happiness without fear of losing it. Emotional stability supports mental clarity, healthy relationships, and overall well-being. Over time, this calmness becomes your natural state. You no longer feel at the mercy of every emotional surge, but respond thoughtfully and intentionally. Your emotions inform you rather than control you. By holding back your emotions wisely, you build a resilient foundation that sustains you through life's storms, helping you live with greater harmony, confidence, and joy.